Did you know that the UN body responsible for climate science, the IPCC, says that one of the factors that exacerbates vulnerability to climate change is gender? While we know that climate impacts are felt all over the world, some groups are disproportionately affected by the climate crisis, and that includes women. Some people and parts of the world are already facing irreversible damage, which means they can no longer adapt to climate change. Climate action cannot be delayed any longer. If we don't act now to tackle global warming, inequality will only keep rising. The IPCC released their sixth assessment report earlier this year. Let's hear from one of the contributing scientists.
We know that climate change is affecting every region of the world. Some human societies and parts of the natural world are already facing irreversible risks beyond the limits that they can adapt to. Vulnerability of ecosystems and people to climate change differ substantially among and within regions. This is driven by patterns of intersecting socioeconomic development and sustainable use of ocean and land, inequity, marginalization, historical and ongoing patterns of inequity such as colonialism and governance.
Climate change has negative impacts on gender and social equity. The women represent the majority of the world's poor, and so those in poverty are already facing health and food insecurity, and climate change exacerbates that to a whole different level of vulnerability.
Vulnerability at different spatial levels is exacerbated by inequity and marginalization linked to gender, ethnicity, low incomes, or combinations thereof, especially for many indigenous peoples and local communities.
We can reduce vulnerability and climate risks if we adopt laws, processes, and policies that address these inequalities, including gender inequality. We need governments to urgently implement solutions to not only cut emissions and stop global warming, but also to help communities adapt to the climate crisis, especially those that are most affected.
Inclusive governance that prioritizes equity and justice in adaptation planning and implementation leads to more effective and sustainable adaptation outcomes. This is why gender equity is part of the solution.
Gender justice is climate justice. We cannot combat the climate crisis with only 50% of the population. Women are already on the front lines of climate action at all levels. Let's make sure that our climate policies are intersectional and intergenerational, including young people and women at every step of the way.